are now tuned in to the On Track with All My People podcast with your hosts, Amber Peters, A.K.A. Mizz P.
And Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change, ain't nothing strange about it, A.K.A. Mr. David, A.K.A. Hey, yo, Mizz.
Oh my God, Daitwan, can we just start the show already?
Twan, how you
Yes,
doing?
ma'am.
How's everything?
I'm not doing.
Listen,
I'm not doing.
I just wanted to ask you some questions because I know you're going through it right now. Little Miss Zaire is going through almost a college process for middle school. So how is everything going? Tell us.
Terrible. So, as you explained in one of the other episodes, I switched jobs, particularly because, and part of the reason was the process that she's doing right now. She just got to middle school. We had to do a lot of work, and we felt like, all right, she's good. She's ready. Like, we're going to be here for a couple of years. But no, we have an opportunity to send her to a better educational institution. And the process is crazy, right? It's real. So, Amber,
sounding like when I'm talking to you, I'm like, is this girl going to college? She going to middle school.
It's crazy, right? So we're doing essays, we're doing interviews, we're preparing her for a lot. But also, like, it's challenging me as a parent because it's like, some of the things I thought I had more time to help her to develop with. And it's like, nah, you have to show and prove. Like, you have to be ready to take on these opportunities, right? So what's crazy is with that, right? Like, if a child is not ready for what that opportunity is, there's some growing pains for them and us. So, I have the training, but that training goes out the door once we get to beefing and locking horns and we're like, yo, you doing too much. I'm like, yo, you doing too much. Like, it's crazy, right? I think that creates a tension. And I think a part of the struggle is like, we're in the house, we pride ourselves in trying to trust the process. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that process has deadlines, right? Like, you're just like, yo, I need you to speed up. Whatever you got going on right now, I need you to speed this up and get this now. And it's crazy because I know that's not the best way to approach things. And also, like, I think sometimes I can help families and help people to kind of figure this out, but they tend to be older. But now it's like, yo, how do you trust and start to develop the skill set to trust your child to make decisions for themselves versus you having to make decisions for them? And I think that's the challenge and why I'm super happy that we're going to have this episode today.
Oh, yeah. So welcome to On Track with All My People, guys. We missed you guys so much. It's your girl, Mizz P here, and I'm here with
Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change, ain't nothing strange about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about parenting, right? We call this episode The Parent Trap for a reason, because we know as parents, they have a different fight than most of us college access professionals. And we want you to hear their story so that you can see how you can support them better.
Word. And especially thinking about, I think that the idea of the parent trap is like, the mindset that we want our children to do better than us. Right. Oh, yeah. And so by any means necessary, a lot of us are just like, yo, we're going to make these things happen, even if it's against, our child. Like, yo, listen, I don't play about you, even with you. So you better get it together. Right. Like, so that's a trap that parents, I think, easily fall into.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about all that. But first, we have some superstar parents that we want to introduce you to. We want you to hear their stories and understand like what it was like for them to parent a college-bound student, so that you can further see what you can do for them. Because we know we need to be better at communicating things to families, but we need to understand their fight first. So we're going to introduce some wonderful people to you.
That's real. And let me just say this. This might be a therapy session for me. I need it. These are all parents that have gone through the process, that have been successful. And often when I lead workshops, I tell students that there's an old adage that you learn from the struggles of others, but also the success. So I'm looking to learn from those things.
Amen. So we're going to bring them on. All right. Welcome to the show. Jetaun, switch your camera. There you go. Back the other way. There you go. All right, cool. All right. All right, welcome to the show, guys. So let's introduce our guests. We have 3 lovely women here ready to share their story. Welcome, Alithea, Jetaun, and Akeisha. So I'm going to start with Miss Jetaun.
Hey.
Hi, girl. We go way back, like church slacks. I remember Don saying that in his previous episode. I stole it. Yes, I did. So Jetaun is the single mom of a college freshman who attends college in Georgia. She works as a medical assistant and has 2 small businesses as a caterer and a pet sitter. Listen, this girl food. I be drooling. Okay, I be drooling. I'm like, girl, that macaroni here. So if you in Georgia, make sure you hit up Juicy Foods.
Yes, please.
Love that. All right. And I promise I'm going to be serious, and I'm going to be serious right now because this is a good friend. I am. I'm gonna do it. I promise. Family member, Alithea Casimir is a boy mom, right? Lover, partner. I love that she put the lover part in it. I love that for you. Sister, daughter, cousin, friend, and a clinical behavioral health provider. She refers to herself as good trouble. I love that. She is that advocate, professional helper, and people pleaser in rehab. Her career is in both financial services, spanning 10 years, and behavioral health, 15 in counting. Alithea, let me get $1. Yo, you've been working. Have provided her enough acumen to know that humans are complicated. Yes, especially children. My humans, the ones that I created, are complicated, and that's why we're here today. Currently, she provides clinical consultation and program management for becoming a man and working on womanhood as a relationship management to expand resources for youth or the programs and their families. She does all of this while still figuring out what she wants to be when she grows up. And that is her tagline. Welcome, my friend and family.
Awesome. And thank you. Not, I guess what they say, last but not least.
There we go.
Akiesha Neely, another person I go back like church slacks with, and literally church slacks. We grew up in the church together. Akiesha Neely is a proud mother of 2 daughters, one a recent college graduate, and the other college bound. She is a 23-year civil servant of the city of New York, working for such agencies such as the Police Department, Administration for Children's Services, and the Department of Correction. She is the owner and operator of Fab 360 Entertainment, LLC, a 360 photo booth rental company named after her 2 daughters. Ms. Neely has been a Girl Scout leader for over 10 years. Daitwan can attest to this. She's also a proud member of the Co-op City NAACP Phenomenal Women Empowerment Alliance, National Council of Negro Women, NCNW Inc., and the Bronxdale High School PTA, and a host of other community-based organizations. This is the mayor of Co-op City, y'all.
The plug.
I just wish I know that. She know everybody.
Bro.
Well, welcome to the show, ladies.
Welcome.
Like I said, superstar moms, right? And they're also out here doing things. So that's just saying.
Thank you.
So we have a little question for you, because we want to be all in your business. Because we got to get all in your business first before we start, sharing other things. So the question is, tell us something you did in college that your kid would be shocked about.
I'll go first. I will say everything that I did do in college, I told my son only because I wanted him to be able to not be afraid if he does do those things away in school, that he don't think I'm judging him. So I'm like, listen, I did the unimaginable. I'm like, don't get in a car with a drunk driver. I've done that. I know the dangers of that. So if you do it, just understand that there's dangers to it. I've done it. I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to seem like, oh, if you did do it, I'm judging you. I'm just telling you, like, stay ahead from that. That's dangerous. Smoking, drinking before the age of 21, having somebody buy alcohol, done it. So I'm expecting him to dabble into stuff just because he's a freshman in college. And, we can say, stay clear, and they're still going to do it. But just understand I've done it. So that's why I'm relating it to you. So yeah, he kind of knows all my business.
Well, it's good that you let him know, like, listen, this is what happened, right? Because some people don't say anything. You learn on your own.
Yeah, so he's comfortable. Yeah, like, so if he's going out on a Friday night, I'm like, what are you doing tonight? And he's like, oh, I'm going to a kickback. And I'm like, will there be alcohol at the kickback? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so are you going to drink? He's like, yeah, just a little. I'm like, well, don't put your drink. If you put your drink down, it stays down. Don't mix drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just be randomly taking drinks from people. Know your limit. So, yeah.
Ladies, y'all want to add?
I'll go. I went to school in New York, so I was pretty much a commuter student. So one morning I basically got up like I was going to school. I went to Baruch College at the time, and instead of getting on the 6th train going to 23rd Street, I got on that 2 train going to Port Authority and went to Atlantic City for the day.
Oh. Listen, sometimes you gotta make it fun. I'm not judging.
I mean, it was a nice warm day, and it was a nice warm day in April. And sometimes the trains got mixed up.
Yo.
I mean, I saw this. I thought I was getting on the 6th. I'm telling you, I thought I was.
Yeah.
Love it.
Alithea.
I'm a plain Jane. I pretty much did similar things, did the day trips, did the smoking, drinking. I actually went to undergrad with Daitwan. But I don't even think my life was as active as Daitwan, to be fair, because I commuted.
Don't bring all your
to
stuff
get back
into this.
home.
No. This ain't the episode.
Please bring Daitwan into this.
Daitwan, we won't talk about the semesters where we were like making sure Daitwan was still gonna be, like
be a student.
Just making sure we could all make it through. They tell you look to the left, look to the right. Sometimes you got to be accountable for your classmates and be like, we good, making sure we all, so
that's why I'm doing this, so that the people can be better.
That's what it is. That's what it is. He learned for many. So he's teaching, he's paid it forward. I would say I just, I tried regular old things. I was pretty young in undergrad, and therefore I had that like scary, like I still tested things, but it was still like Caribbean parents, older brother, younger brother, like, yeah. So I think I did reasonable things. I don't think they know I smoked in college, but mostly a 2-drink maximum. Like I didn't really do that much. I just did what regular college students do. But similar to, I'm sorry, can you say a name, hon? Is it Jetaun? How do you?
Jetaun.
Jetaun?
Jetaun.
Okay, thank you. Very similar. I have those open conversations with my son. I'm just both of them, but one is a freshman in college, and I'm very much like, all right, alcohol, know your limit, drugs, where you getting it from, safety. If you don't know your supplier, then you shouldn't partake. You know what I mean? Trust a dispensary before you trust a person around the way, especially because he's in upstate New York. And just, talking to them, being realistic, wear condoms. So, and with that respect, I try to keep it very, so yeah.
Yeah, when you have that wear condom thing, like that conversation, they look at you like, oh, no, don't be shocked. This is something you're going to school. We're going to know. Listen, I'd rather tell you now instead of you telling me I can't go back to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been saying it since high school, and I'll say it in front of the girlfriend. I'll be like, wear condoms, y'all.
I work in healthcare and women's health, so I see it all the time, and I tell my son all the time, there's nothing that you think that you're going to do without a condom that you could do with it. And you really don't know what feels good right now. So just wear one.
Right. Yeah.
I always
do good. Yeah.
That's real. I'm glad you shared that. Also, especially because it sounds like at least at some part of your journey, you were able to speak to your children without like speaking from a place of fear.
Yeah.
Versus like, I'm just trying to give you awareness, right? And I think like parents can get caught up in that trap of like, yo, I don't want you to do all of these things when naturally some of those things are actually going to happen. Right. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about, what sparked this episode for me, is that I watched a movie called 1001 starring Tiana Taylor. Phenomenal movie. And I'm going to just kind of give you the gist of it, and just kind of want to kind of segue us into the actual content of the episode, right? So she was a mother that gets out of jail from like stealing. She's a repeat offender, and she goes back to her neighborhood. She sees her son, who's actually in foster care now, and she's trying to like develop a relationship with him, and all the while she's still trying to get back on her grind, get back on her feet about like setting up her life. So what winds up happening is He gets injured after like running away from like his foster parent, like falls out a window, winds up in the hospital. She goes to the hospital to check up on him, and she was, just saying like, "Hey, I empathize because I'm from the foster care system as well." And when they started having those conversations, she was like, "Yo, I can't have him be a part of this foster care system." She takes him away, like literally almost kidnaps him from the foster care system, and was like, "Yo, we're going to try to figure this out, this life thing." But the challenge is she doesn't have a home to stay with for them to live. So she's, going through the movie, trying to create a life for them. She winds up like, changing up his identity, fake birth certificate, fake ID, whatever. And so like now, there's this like overwhelming fear of, can she really make this happen without them being caught? She's also starting to parent from her trauma, right? Like she's dealt with trauma being in the foster care system and being in jail and all these other things, right? And then also knowing that if you don't have the proper opportunity, you can end up like how she's ended up. So she's parenting from all of these different things. And so I wanted to kind of be able to talk about, because we have, Alithea, you and I share, family members that are from the Caribbean. All of us, have family members that have probably gone through different experiences and say, "Hey, I don't want you to have to go through this," right? And sometimes the lessons that they like impart in us are phenomenal, but other times those things are super restricting, right? I'll quickly kind of tell, like my mother, once talked about, I didn't realize this. I'm not explaining why. My mother, is from North Carolina, came to New York when she was about 18 or so, and has pretty much lived in the Bronx. My mother doesn't travel to any of the other boroughs. She refuses, like unless it's in a car, right? She refuses. So, and she really doesn't travel to many places unless she's with people that she knows. And one day, a couple of years ago, I was like, "Yo, Mom, what do you want to do when you wanted to grow up?" She was like, "Yo, I want to be a flight attendant." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, you don't even get on the bus to go to Manhattan, like what, or the train or whatever." And she, it was like, dreams deferred. And sometimes when she realized what she was doing to me, because I was like, "Yo, I'm outside. I'm going outside. I'm traveling." She's like, "Yo, chill. You need to." And then eventually she had to change her language. She was like, "Yo, be safe," right? Because she realized that she was operating from a place of fear. So yeah, I'm super happy about we want to have this actual conversation. Amber, you had an important question.
Yeah, I mean, so like thinking about all those things, right? And like how the main character of 1001, like she's parenting from whatever she had internally going on. I want to ask you guys a question, like, in terms of, your kids they're grown now, right? Or they were about to be grown when they were making their decisions, right? And I want to know, like, what came up for you in that moment? Like, what feelings did you have around, like, maybe like what they wanted to do when they told you, like, I want to go to college, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, what did that feel like? And also, like, what were those initial conversations like? Like, what did those feel like for you?
I'll go. So when Chad was in the 9th grade, he was thinking about going into the military because he was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do if I go to college." And knowing that I'm predominantly a single mom, he didn't want me to have to spend the money. Right. So he's just like, "I don't think we're going to have enough money for me to go to college. So I'll just go to the military and they'll pay for it." And I used to have to always tell him, like, "Yeah, that can be a backup plan, but it's as simple as you go." He's a very smart kid. So it's like, it's as simple as you going to school and working your hardest and getting these good grades because there's scholarships out there, So I'm like, as long as you put in the work, you're going to reap the benefits. So it was just now, it's like, okay, I can't go to class. So what am I going to do now? He's super smart. He's a talented writer and everything. So when he said he finally decided that he wanted to go to school for journalism, I'm like, journalism? Like, that's too broad. Mass communications is too broad. It's not going to be too much, much access for you. Look at social media, and then I had to really sit down and think that he's a really good writer. So many avenues in mass communication and journalism that he can, go to, and just getting, having to instill in him that you're going to have to get these internships. That opens up doors. You're going to have to network and things like that. So I feel like even now, like at school, even though he's a freshman, he's on the school newspaper. He's on it's the Juice Live, like where they do broadcasting for events around school. He's in a modeling organization and things like that. So he's putting himself in places to network, which in return is going to get him where he needs to be, especially if he stays focused, so.
Awesome. I like that. Awesome.
He was.
I know, right?
He's a different person in college. He was very timid in high school, very smart but timid. Now in college, I'm like, what?
Even are you?
Yeah, like who are you?
Yeah, so I want to say this, which is super dope. Like you had like a visceral reaction when he said he wanted to go into journalism, but then you figured out ways to like support that pathway, like help to focus and hone it, and also stipulate what you were having to struggle with. I think that's such like evolved form of parenting, right? Like I know I talked about Zaire was concerned to me when she was super young. She wanted to be a crossing guard, and I was like, "Yo, you've been reading since 2. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?" Right. But she also, said she was going to marry Bobby Brown. So I just knew she didn't have it all together. Right. But I'm glad that there are parents that are trying to figure out ways to kind of deal with like their own biases, but also supporting dreams with like information and like insight as to what you are actually struggling with a child's decision. Anybody else with the same question?
So when my daughter when she started looking for colleges, it was more of she wanted to do nursing at first, right? She went to a health professions high school and she just knew she wanted to go into health professions until she hit chemistry class. And she was like, yeah, this is not for me. I can't do that. And then so I said, you have to figure out what do you want to do? And she said she wanted to go into marketing. So that was her major. She just graduated in May last year.
Go for it.
I am a college grad mom. So, but it's just once she said she wanted to go, I just started like scholarships and Amber and Daitwan could tell you, I am the networking queen. Do you hear me? So it's like, okay, so what opportunities can I line you up with to help you be successful to go to school? That's a gift and a curse, right? Because when you do that, you don't teach your kids to really grind for themselves because you're grinding for them. So that's something that, if I look back at it, I would say I would do differently. But with my 10th grader right now, I'm still kind of lining her up to do certain things, just so that she's in the right place at the right time because she wants to go to culinary school. Right. That's her focus. She likes to cook. She's in here spending all my money on flour and different types of yeast and all this other stuff. But, somebody gave me a good idea. Like, listen, put her in a culinary program, at least for the summer or before she gets to school. So she'll know if that's exactly what she wants to do in school. So looking at it from someone that's about to go into college and someone that's gotten out of college, it was just basically just supporting them where they were at that stage, be it freshman year in high school, freshman year in college, senior year in high school, and then vice versa, whatever, but just being with them where they are at what particular stage. But one thing I say is just the hand holding, we have to just kind of either ease back on. It's kind of hard because you want them to succeed and you want them to do better than you. And because it's a generational thing, right? Like my parents are from the South. Neither of them have their degrees. So, you got my sister, she has like 2 master's degrees. I have my bachelor's, but it's a thing. Like, not only do I have pressure on them, my parents are like, hey, we want them to succeed as well. So now they have triple pressure on them, generational pressure. Like, I don't even realize that generational pressure is actually a thing.
Oh yeah.
Generational pressure. That is real. We will take some time to kind of talk about that in a second. And I love what you're talking about. Like you are essentially mentioning like you have resources. You are the network queen for sure. You can figure out a way to make something happen. And I think one of the goals is to teach our children how to advocate and hustle like us. Part of that is a personality thing. Right? Part is just like, man, like for your personality, I need you to figure this out because closed mouths don't get fed. And I think some of the most successful people are not just successful because of their talents, right? It's because of who they know, right? Who like opportunities they've sought out for themselves. So Alithea, same question. First feelings that you had, first conversations with my nephews. My nephews are characters. They've been characters forever. Like, they are my nephews. And those conversations, and Alithea is a personality. So I know those conversations were super engaging. I'll use that word. I don't know what the church folk called it. But super engaging. What was those first conversations like for y'all?
I would say because we, for majority of their childhood, we were in a multi-generational home. So we were living with my mom. And so again, strong Caribbean presence. It was never an option whether they were going to go to college or not. It was, you're going to go to school. It's a very big family value. And until you were speaking, I didn't realize like, oh, my parents don't have their degree, but it was always expected of us. And it's education. So it doesn't have to be a degree, but education. I kept getting told the story of being sat on my father's lap as an infant, and I was being told I was going to be a lawyer. And so, and going to Harvard Law School at that. So it's just always, that imprint, that generational pressure. But for me, it was, you lead the way and you tell me who you are. So I would say that's what I did differently. I don't think my parents forced me in any particular path, but for me, it was, I think because I was so young when I started college at the age of 16, I still didn't really know who I was. So for me, with my children, it was all about letting them learn who they were. So when they were younger, I always told them, I know you more than you know yourself. But by a certain age, you should know yourself more than I know you. And I want to meet you. And so it's always that self-discovery. Like I said, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I would say those conversations happen at several stages. When it was a conversation about overnight camp, my mom is, don't wear other people's clothes, don't, sleep over people's houses. But here we are talking about overnight camp. And I'm like, nah, I wish I got to do that. Go ahead, fall out. And then after that, it's, we're going through similar process as Zaire. We went through that process and then attending private school. Then for high school, it was boarding. And I'm like, I'm not ready, but it's not about me. So how can we discuss this and talk about getting ready? I feel like I haven't finished pouring into you and you feel like you want this opportunity. Where can we meet in the middle? And so we took an extra year because his middle school went up to 9th grade and then we applied to boarding school. And, we both felt secure in that. So I never wanted to ever say no. It was maybe not right now, or how can we make that happen where we're both comfortable with it? So I feel like those conversations have been going. I know they did Pop Warner. I put them in that. Did I think they were going to keep going? After a while, it's like, ooh, them other kids are big. And I know you're fast, baby. Are you that fast? You know what I mean? And so just going through that, and Daitwan knows my youngest ended up getting a torn meniscus. And so just going through those, you know what I mean? My oldest discovered track. That's dope. And then, transitioned from football. Before that was basketball, and then realized and discovered he really didn't have a great senior year season. Got hurt, got injured, and needed to recover from that. And so just going with them along the way and really encouraging them to have the confidence to, what I say is, bet on yourself. Because my thing is, I want you to develop what that means. I want you to figure out, do I believe in myself enough? And I got your back. That's what I'm here for. My thing is, you came through me to be on this earth, but I can't determine what that life and what that purpose is. So you're going to discover that, and I got your back on how you discover that. So just tell me and let me equip you with what you need. But absolutely, I believe it's personality. My oldest was Elijah, preschool politician. So he's very engaging. He can, start conversation with anyone. He's wise beyond his years, very charismatic. Malcolm is less so. And so how do they both approach the same situation and, end up at their own individual outcomes? And so for me, it's really, how do I help them be who they are in the situation? So sometimes it's a lot of me and I have to fall back. And sometimes it's a lot of me because I see you procrastinating and I'm gonna need you to, you know what I mean? Step it up so I don't have to be so much on you. And then other times it's, no, you're right, you got that. And let me know. So it's helped. I was a single parent for a long time. And I think it's helped that I've been like, I need you to help me lead this. I can't do this for you. Daitwan knows it's a lot of applications, essays, all of that. I'm gonna need you to do this lockstep with me. I got my own essay to write. They got the parent essay portion for, the before college. So when it's middle school, high school, I need you to work on your essay and then let me, overall edit and, manage. But yeah, it's been a collaboration is what I'll say.
Nice.
So Amber, I think you were right. Amber tells me this phrase to trust Black women. Y'all answered all of the 5 questions that we were going to ask for this section. So I'm going to move us on. Amber, you were right. So trust Black women. You said it. I'm going to acknowledge the head of Women's History Month to trust Black women. So we want to get into.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep, I'm doing that. I'm trying to get my likes up too. So here we are. We want to get into this phrase because Alithea, I'm about to call you Lethe. Let me stay professional. Alithea.
You can say Lethe, it's cool.
Just talked about, like, I think it was first mentioned earlier, just about like that generational pressure with Akeisha, right? And then Alithea kind of brought in this other aspect of generational values, right? Like there's oftentimes like some of our parents did not have that same education, but they wanted us to like by any means, like, yo, this is a non-negotiable. But also, Alithea, you kind of also reference like generational restrictions, right? Like, there are many things that our parents is just like, yo, my parent would never do this, therefore I'm a parent, I would never let you do this. I know I had a friend that his father would always go fishing. I was like, y'all want to go fish? My mother and father was like, you're bugging. And so my son, like, recently was like, y'all want to go fishing? I was like, yo, you might be bugging, but hold on, wait. So I talked to one of our friends and I'm cool with. I'm like, yo, let's make this happen. That's actually Skip. So with that, I understand that we all have best intentions, but sometimes our intentions as parents don't land the way that they're supposed to, right? Like, and they have a different result. So there's this aspect called vicarious parenting. And I want to check and see, have any of you experienced these things? And I want to be able to kind of figure out why. And because we want to make sure that this is efficient in timing, I'm going to read this statement. And I want you to raise your hand if you feel like you've had this. And I'm going to ask one person to kind of speak upon it before we go to the next bullet. Is that cool?
Cool.
Okay. So, and I know it's a little bit vulnerable because, we oftentimes are thinking about, man, I wish I did this better as a parent. We often are really hard on ourselves or whatever. But ask for a little vulnerability. I've done pretty much all of these things, so don't judge me.
Think it.
Yeah. Be quiet, Amber. Okay. So, number one, raise your hand if you have become obsessively involved in your child's activity, like helicopter parenting, at the expense of your own well-being or hobbies.
Ooh.
I say that more just commuting, like bringing them there, but I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
All the time.
I don't think I've really done that one. But more so, I can't say that have had to, and I know y'all have. You're probably being humble. Y'all have had to sacrifice your own hobbies. To in order to kind of be there for your children and take them to the different things. All right. Forcing a child to do a specific extracurricular activity or hobby that they don't want to do. Yeah. All right, let's go with Jetaun. Talk to us. Why was that a thing for you? What do you think was the reason, whether it was conscious or subconscious?
I think I was just looking for more scholarship opportunities. So when he was in high school, especially being in the South, we moved when he got into 8th grade. We moved to Georgia from the Bronx. So I'm like,
BX.
Yeah, I'm like, it's very big. The band is very big here in the South. There's a lot of scholarships. He went to a good high school. So I'm like, I need you to be in band. I don't care what you're going to learn how to play. You're going to be in band because they always get millions of dollars in scholarships. So you're going to do it. Well, he did it. And then I realized that he didn't really care for it. And then I realized it required so much of me in trying to shift around my schedule. And at that time, I was just working like a regular hourly job before I got, really on my feet. So it's like I have to switch shifts at work. He's not enjoying it. It's cold outside. They asking for money out my butt. So I'm always having to do extra things. And he's not even enjoying this. So after 9th grade, he was like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, thank God. Because it was the scholarships opportunity. But he didn't want to do it. He found something else. And I was happy with that.
Yeah, I would say definitely the same thing. Zaire decided that she wanted to get into drumming. And I was like, all right, cool. I was happened to be working at a middle school that they do band as well. So I was like, yo, you sure you want to do regular drumming? You don't want to put no more seasoning on it? And I got connects. Like, we can get you in the band. But she was just like, nah, just put me in the regular drums. Okay, here we are. Forcing decisions based on your life experiences versus what the child is currently going through.
Wait, say it again.
So forcing a decision based on your life experiences versus what the child is currently going through. I think I have done that. I've done that. Lethe, talk to us. In what way? Like, why do you think that was a thing?
First reason, fear. But also more specifically, fear of the unknown, fear of like the unexpected, the uncertainty. And so just being cautious and Like I said, we always had that two-way conversation. So my sons outnumber me. They know that, but they also know I'm everything within reason. So state your what, but then state your why. And we can have let's have a conversation. So even me, if I say no, or if I say yes, whatever the what is, I also state my why. So within reason, so I could always be of rational and sound mind, because I felt like my mother was crazy. I just want to make sure I'm making decisions for that. And so I would realize through the discussion, like, all right, that's valid. That's a valid reason. And I don't want to put off my, scariness or my whatever on you.
State your what and your why. Okay. Appreciate that. Seeing your child's behavior and activities as a reflection of your worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miss Akeisha, talk to us. Child's behavior and activities. Why was that a thing?
Well, growing up, I was always, my mom is flawless. You know what I mean? So it's just like when you go outside, you have to be always put together. You always have to be neat and all that other stuff. So it's like I forced that on them. Like, first of all, if you're going outside, and my daughter knows, even when she was in college, you don't go outside with a bonnet. You don't go outside with pajama pants and anything like that. So it was just like, repeat the question again, because I know I'm going off of it a little bit.
No. So seeing your child's behavior and activities as a reflection of your worth.
Right. And just one of my kids is just like, she's really to herself. She doesn't have, now she's more outgoing and, she speaks a lot more, but she was really reserved. And it was just like, why are you not in this group? Why are you not doing that? Why are you not in this activity, that activity? Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that. Maybe that'll help you, get more friends, or maybe that'll help you. And it's just like, because mommy is out doing this, that, and whatever. I'm in the public eye. Why can't you talk? Why don't you do this? And it's just putting those pressures on actually both of them. Like, one of the parents said, both of my daughters are completely different. I have one that will walk into the room and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that is Keisha to the T. Okay. Right? You'll be like, oh, she's gonna walk through the room and she is so, charismatic and this, that, and whatever. And then you have the other one who will shrink herself into a room.
Real.
And it's just like, you're a powerhouse. What are you doing? And it's just time for, it was for her to find her self-realization, to say, okay, this is me. And then when I walk into rooms afterwards, they was like, you talking about her? Oh no, she got it popping. And I'm like, really? But I don't see it, but other people see it. You know what I mean? But it's just like, that's my kid. And why are you not acting more like your mom? And why aren't you connecting and networking like your mom? What is going on? But and two, like I said, I had to learn. Each one has their own personality, and they each do their own networking their way.
Their way.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Have experienced that as well. Okay. Ignoring your child's needs or interests. So, yeah, I think, Mr. Keisha, I think I'm with you. I'm gonna just say this really quickly. I don't know if it's necessarily ignoring, but my child, in the 80s, many of you know about the 80s, our communities were ravaged by drugs. And my child is an addict for devices, and I know she needs her devices, and so I don't ignore it. I just be like, yo, you're bugging. You're gonna go through withdrawal. You need to chill out. But this is her way of like connecting, especially because of the pandemic. Is even more of a need right now. And so like for her, this is how she gets connected to her friends. I don't know, the dopamine, psychology, all that is a thing, right? But at times I have to be like, yo, I have to protect you. Like, you are not living life in this way, being on Roblox all day, every day. Let's figure this out. But I also know like this is her way of socializing. Like, she has a whole community of people that she rocks with. It's great, but it's like it's excessive because she's not able to really kind of navigate the other spaces as I need her to, or how she needs to. But I guess, Akeisha, what would you say for you?
I'm trying to talk myself out of saying, so what else would you want to do? Like my daughter is so heavy. Like she's like, I'm going to CIA. She's told you she's going to CIA. She's going to Culinary Institute. And I'm like, okay, so what else do you think you would be interested in? You know what I mean?
She said what she said.
She's really adamant, like, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, and what else? Like, would you like to be a, and then I had to think back to like when I was in my junior and senior year of Truman. I went to Baruch because my dad wanted me to go to Baruch. My dad wanted me to be an accountant. I don't like numbers. I'm a people person. You know, it took me leaving Baruch and finding my own way and getting my degree. I actually graduated from the college in New Rochelle, but finding my own way to realize that I had to be true to myself. So if being a chef or whatever it is that she wants to do is her being true to her, then, you know, I'm going to have to respect it. But, you know, the mommy in me is still saying, okay, so what else?
Been there.
She said, Akeisha.
What she said. Yeah, that's real. And I would say to that. So Alithea spoke about the fact that we had a really dope community in college. They were super helpful to me. And you know, the whole look left, look right thing was real. And so there was a point in time, you know, like I was been on the path of engineering since elementary school or whatever the case may be. But once I started to find myself, I was like, yo, I don't want to be behind a computer. My pops is like, yo, I don't think he was going to be able to rationalize. So you trying to help people and you don't got no money? Like you need to go where, you know, the places the money's at, right? Like the holy trinity. So like engineering, the doctor, lawyer, like you need to go in those directions. We've talked about that before. But I think, like you said, it was important for me to kind of go through and I saw your note. It was important for me to kind of figure out and find myself, like Alithea said, right? Like reintroduce myself to my pops and be like, yo, I have convictions now, right? Like this is not just me just listening to what you're saying. Like we can have a conversation, and this is the path that I'm going through, and this is the reason why. And it took me a while to get there. But I think as a parent now, I'm trying to balance between like, how can I really help you to develop your identity, to make those choices, to respect those choices and support you, and also figure out like, what is the happy medium in being able to, challenge you and how you're thinking about what your possibilities are, right? So it's one thing that like you say you want to be a chef, but would you consider owning a restaurant, being an entrepreneur, so you're not just working for somebody your entire life? So, okay, there is one last one that I want to go through. Embassy, I'm just going to do this very last one. Referring to your child's accomplishments with the plural. We had a great game, or we qualified for the finals. So using that language of we instead of you. All right, I'm going to tell them myself. I've done it recently. I've done it recently a lot. Let me explain why. So, Zaire, super gifted, and I'm not going to take that away from her. I'll tell you this. Zaire, when she was like 4, she was like, yo, I'm smarter than you. And I took that personally. Ever since then, I was like, yo, you're going to have to prove it. So I've been on her behind for like the last 7 years. And so, because I'm competitive like that. But in thinking about that entire thing, she's been in schools where she has not really been challenged, right? So when she got into this opportunity of being in prep for prep, she's not used to getting homework. She's not used to being assessed regularly or the challenge of what they're trying to prepare her for in these independent schools. So that adjustment, right? Like, and being able to kind of like do work consistently and be challenged and understand like, yo, you don't have it right out the gate. You have to actually put in work and study. It took her a while, right? So she didn't have the discipline. She didn't have those things done. So what was happening is that we had to like get her comfortable with like, yo, you have to do the work. You have to do the work yourself. I have my own work as well. You can do this part. Like whatever you're struggling with, you can do that. And it was just taking her time. So, sometimes we'll leave her to like, yo, get these things done. And she'd be there hours, and she's played a bunch of games and not gotten the work done. So I was like, oh, no. We have to do a hard reset. And, it took me just like long hours, late at night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I wanted to understand that my whole role is to work myself out of a job. That's a youth development principle, right? The whole thing is I'm going to do this with you, right? Because she looks for that. And then I need you to start doing some of these things for yourself. So I definitely have used the we, but I wanted to become like, yo, I am proud of you of what you have done. And those are the things that I know I've done it, but I don't think I've done it in this particular way. I want her to understand though, that she needs to take more ownership of her work. So that when she, I quickly tell this, she, she decided to do a spelling bee, and she got past the first round, and it was like super, super hype. She didn't do no studying. And I was like, yo, that's cool, but that's not the right message. She got through the second round. So now it's like, yo, you got to put in the work now, right? Like you want the results, but you need to put in the work to be able to kind of get what you want. Amber, your question.
You see, he said he needed this therapy, y'all, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Amber, your
definitely.
question.
I'll say this to you, Daitwan. I'll say this real quick that I learned in the field, like the behavioral health field: do for, do with, cheer on. And I learned that, do for, do with, cheer on. That's the like basis of wraparound services for behavioral health. And my kids were very young when I switched into that career, and I applied as you would a lot of things, but I applied that to like my children as well. So my thing is working. I measure my like, I guess I could say I'm blanking on words, y'all. I'm sorry. I measure my success as a parent on how little they need me. So the less you need me, the more successful I feel. Because I just want to attend and be in the audience and clap rather than like, I don't want to do with, you know what I mean? I'm ready to cheer on. And so, yeah, I just want to say that to you, Daitwan, if you could. Yeah.
I got it.
I'm not a parent, but I really love that you said that, right? Like one of the things that I'm very uber conscious of is that I'm not doing for, because I think sometimes, especially in this field, we get caught up in that cycle. Because sometimes for some professionals, they almost are like the second or third parent, right? And so for them, they are literally going through this process with their own intentions in mind, or things that happened to them or didn't happen to them or whatever, right? They're impressing what schools they want kids to go to, right? Like if I went to Adelphi and it was great. So why can't you just, apply? You have the great grades and right. So like, I love that you said the do for, do with, cheer on. I'm using that, taking that.
Yeah.
But anywho, we're moving on to a second piece, right? Because we have, looked at parenting styles, right? I was fortunate enough when I was in college to do a project on parenting styles. And I just want to kind of get your idea and like what parenting style you think you embody and why you think that. So we have permissive, authoritarian, authoritative, and neglectful. So a permissive parent is someone who's child-driven, rarely gives or enforces rules, overindulges child to avoid conflict, right? Like you want to do that to you, so go ahead, just leave me alone, right? Authoritative solves problems with the child, right? They solve them together. They set clear rules, expectations. They have an open line of communication and natural consequences. Then we have a neglectful parent who is uninvolved or absent, provides a little nurturance or guidance, indifferent to a child's social, emotional, behavioral needs. And then we have authoritarian, which is parent-driven, sets strict rules and punishment, one-way communication with little consideration of a child's social and emotional behavioral needs. Sounds like my Caribbean household. But anywho, I digress. Which one do you think, like, which bucket do you think you guys fall in? I kind of have an idea, but I want to know what you guys think you fall into.
I think I'm number 2. What is it? Authoritative?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My mom was the last one. Like, I made everything that I do and how I parent my son. I always think about how my mother gave me no options. I didn't have an option for if I wanted to go to a school party. No. If I wanted to hang out with my friends. No. So when, he's at college now, so he's doing whatever he wants, whenever he wants. But I gave him the understanding. I allowed him to do things in high school because I don't want you to get to college and not have any freedom. And now you go buck wild. Cause that's what I like. I went to college and I was on academic probation my first semester because I'm doing what I want. I'm drinking, I'm hanging out at parties because I never got the chance to do any of those things in high school. So I always let him, discuss with me what he's going to do and what's the best route. Some things I don't agree with when he'll say, oh, I want to do, like, he wants to go to Atlanta, right? And I'm like, oh no, because to me the whole Atlanta is just terrible. There's always shootings and things like that. But I'm like, I can't protect him from going everywhere. And when he goes away to school, I'm going to be a mess. But I need him to be able to know how to protect himself, how to be, aware of his surroundings and things like that. So I'm definitely the second parent, and my mother was definitely the last parent. And I have some resent for that. So I always say to my son, anytime I'll be like, grandma didn't allow me to do nothing that you did. Grandma never allowed me. Or if grandma said, she would be yelling at me because I'm allowing you to hang out with your friends till 11 p.m. at night. Like things like that.
I agree.
So I would say that I was authoritative with a touch of authority. What is it? Authoritarian. Yes. It's kind of like a gremlin. Like you good at night, but then you drink a little bit and then you switch up. So, so it's like you cool. Like certain things, it's like, okay, I'm gonna let it go. We're gonna work together. I'm gonna be your biggest fan. I'm gonna be the loudest one in the stand, screaming, yeah, there go my baby. And we're gonna work this thing out together. You say you want to do something. I'm that. Well, listen, I'm in here buying, like I said, all types of flour and this, that, and whatever. I'm trying to find internships. Like I'm that parent. We're going to work together, make sure, and I'm going to applaud for you when you're ready, and you succeed. But there's going to be clear rules and clear expectations behind all of that as well. But then sometimes my parents creep in and you're like, wait a minute, wait, what? No, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Yep. And it's like, you have to talk to yourself and be like, yo, you didn't like it when it was done to you. And then once it's already out, how do you reel that back in? Right. But it's a, yeah, I'm going to rock with you. We're going to do all these things together, with these clear expectations, and I'm going to give you room. I'm going to give you room to say, okay, mom, I'm not going to do this, or, this doesn't feel right, or I'm having a problem with this. We can have that open line of communication. But sometimes I feel like there are times when, I creep back into Mr. and Mrs. Neely, and it's just like, I'm not trying to hear that. This is the way it's going to be. Blase, 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 blah. So that's why I say I can be a touch of 2 and 4. And more of 2 than 4.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that because it helped me realize like I probably am. I think at any given time, at any given moment, depending on what it calls for, I may be a bit of any one of the 4. I'd primarily say I'm 2. I'm authoritative. But I always say I have veto power. Like things are up for discussion until they're not. And then the choice is the choice. The decision is the decision. But something that my sons taught me in middle school when they started going to private school, because they were with other classmates that were of uber wealth and uber, opportunity and resources. There was such a vast difference in like parenting. And I knew I was expecting my son before I crossed the stage for undergrad. So I consider myself a young mom. I may not have been a teenage mom, but I was a young mom. And so I really do say I grew up with my kids, and my oldest helped me raise him and his brother. They're 18 months apart, 19 months apart. And so he said something to me in middle school: strict parents raise sneaky kids. And that was because of their friends, that they knew they knew little tricks that their friends did to like circumvent a lot of the rules that their parents had. And again, that was part of like our open discussion. Again, Daitwan knows them, that his nephews, you can get lost in a conversation with them, and the things you learn and the things you're exposed to, you be like, wow, I'm hip now. You know what I mean? So that always stuck with me. So it's not that I was like I said, I've rotated around. There were times I was permissive, but it was because my mom was so authoritarian. And there were times it was more, I won't say it was permissive, it was more authoritative. Like we can have a discussion and conversation about it. I say permissive because there were times I'm like, clutch my pearls. I don't want to say yes, but I'm going to say yes and I'm going to trust you. And you know what I mean? So it was always, I'll give this trust. But once trust is violated, understand it's harder to earn. So really making sure they understand wherever you go, represent who and whose you are. And so just remember that if you violate that, now it's going to make it harder the next time. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Keisha, because I'm like, yeah, I guess, yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's what I would say. I'd definitely still say 2, because yes, my mother was 4.
That's real. So I think, and I love the fact that you're saying represent who you are, but also whose you are. That's such a prominent thing that should anchor them in a lot of their decisions. We're wrapping up to this very last section. And Amber, I'm combining sections. It's looking at like best tips for parenting, right? Like we know that we sometimes as practitioners, Amber, you talked about like we struggle with this parent sometimes. The vicarious parent that's doing way too much is not allowing their child to have autonomy, is not allowing the child to make decisions, and it's also going against the child's like, yo, this is what I'm interested in. Like within our field, we've definitely seen like a child said that they wanted to do this, and the parent was like, nah, this is not going to happen. Like I've had children have gotten full scholarships to really phenomenal schools, and the parents was like, nah, it's not going down.
I've definitely had that and had to have those uncomfortable conversations, because it's like, what do you tell a parent, right? Like that's their kid, right? Like I can't veto what the parent says because it's a good opportunity. I can't make them see what their child wants to do any more than they want to see it, right? So it's always that kind of a struggle when we're dealing with those type of parents also.
For sure. So like one of my final questions in asking about this, and this is like your super wisdom and insight, and if everybody can respond, like what do you think is the best way to nurture that baton handoff, right? Like you are responsible for the decisions, then they need to be responsible for the decision in their lives. Like what is the best way to advise parents to do that handoff?
I think just trusting yourself as a parent and trusting that you raised your child or got your child to this point. Like I feel very proud of where I started when I had my son at 21. But I didn't finish school. I left school and I just literally got my degree October 2023. So it was 2023 was a big year for us. He graduated high school, went to college, and I finally, after 18 years, got my degree. So just trusting that he sees me work hard and I instill in him working hard. And, I don't like to always say I made these sacrifices for you because I chose to. Some parents they do whatever they want. So I just always trust that he sees and he is going to always do what makes him proud and what he thinks is going to always make me proud. And I always tell him, I'm always proud of you. Some decisions that you may make, I may not agree with, but if it's for your well-being, I'm always going to promote. I'm always going to be happy for you and your success. So
I love that.
Love it. Thank you.
So I would say, parents, just be kind to yourself, right? Because you've been down this road, they're down this road now, but you're helping them get through this. So also give yourself a pat on the back for actually being there. And if you're true and transparent with yourself and you're loving on yourself and you're being transparent with yourself, your child is going to see that as well. So everything translates. So just always remember, you've been down that road, but guess what? Their road is the same, but slightly different. But just applaud yourself for getting them to where you've gotten them to so far. And what's your name? I'm sorry. Alithea, yes. And like you said, remember whose you are. You've gotten there and you've instilled in them who they are and who they are. So just continue to push forward, be kind to yourself and be kind to your child, and everything will work out just fine.
Yeah, no, I felt that. Like, honestly, that's a message I wish I heard earlier. Because I could feel myself getting like teary hearing you say that. And I echo that. I don't really have much different to say. It's like, dear parent, do for, do with, cheer on, and trust that your child will tell you when they're ready for what stage. But also trust your intuition that you will know when your child is ready for what stage. So it's parenting is absolutely a healthy collaboration with your child. Just know when you got to say, nah, end of. I veto that. But give yourself grace. We're learning. They don't come with care for instructions. I've checked behind the neck. I checked, everywhere. I kept flipping up, turning upside down, and could not find them. But I did learn along the way, and they helped teach me who and whose they were. And as much as I want them to represent that, they taught me that, and it helped me understand what they needed at that point in their life. So
I love that you guys said that, like, trust that you did what you needed to do as a parent, that your child would be able. I think that was something definitely, like, I feel that because I see it in my mom. Like, she helped me through the process, but like there was not a lot that she could do because I'm first generation. So my mother did not go to college. She didn't understand anything about when it came to like supporting me through the process. And at some point she had to be like, listen, I raised a smart child. You got this. Good luck. Godspeed. I'll be right here if you need me. But I don't know nothing about that. But you're going to figure it out because I trust you to figure it out. So I definitely feel that.
So as we wrap up, what I'm getting is y'all saying that it's okay for me to veto Zaire whenever I want. I appreciate y'all.
No, they say
we didn't say whenever.
Listen, don't let me make no phone call.
All right.
Phone call.
All right. Trust Black women.
For you.
Girl.
That auntie not playing that.
You got aunties on the screen. No.
For real.
What I am getting is that there are those voices from our parents that we have to check and regulate, right? Like it is important to make sure we have that conversation with ourselves first. Also important to kind of do the healing work for ourselves, just to make sure that we are from a best pace possible. There are different points in times where I think we need to bestow grace upon ourselves because, as was stated, there's no manual, right? Like to this, there's a lot that we're wrestling. Also, the context in which our children are living in is significantly different from what we were raised in, right? So we need to make those adaptations. I think it is also important to help them to continue to establish who they are, and it's important for them to know themselves better than we do. So I'm truly grateful for this therapy session. Do not charge me because I am broke. I have no money for y'all, but if y'all need me to talk to some children, I can do that.
Okay, quid pro quo. That could work.
There we go. That is amazing. What is, I guess, just to kind of wrap up, what is like one aspirational thing for yourself? Like, what are you hoping? Because different people have talked about when I want to grow up, I want to do. I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, what's one aspirational thing that you have for yourself outside of being a parent? Because I know there is the sacrifice, but there's also the decision, right? Like the sacrifice sometimes feels like a burden to put on a child. We don't want that, but there's a decision to kind of, do for our children. But once the children are out of the house, y'all are empty nesters. Like, what do you aspire? Like, what is the goal?
Well, I love being an empty nester. I mean, I only have one and I love it. I'm traveling. I can come home from work. I don't have to cook. Like I can just go upstairs, take a shower, watch TV. I don't have any obligation. So I love this. So I find myself, I volunteer at the Humane Society, with cats and dogs. I do things like that. I travel. I go out to more restaurants because I have to pay for myself. I don't got to pay for people. So it's things like that. I'm just enjoying where I'm at now. And this is the first time I've been alone since I was 21 years old. I've always had a kid to my hip. Yeah. And now he's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. So when he comes home, it's like, when you go back to school again? Because I love this phase of my life.
Love it.
I love that. I appreciate you saying that because I also be looking at the clock, especially because mine went to boarding school. So boarding school, then college. I have a senior and a freshman. I would definitely say I am looking to meet the next version of me. I think I'm still discovering that. And I'm going to try to put myself in more things to figure out who that is and what that is. I could tell you a lot professionally, but I want to tell you more personally. And so for me personally, I want to discover myself. Professionally, I'm always going to have a 2, 3, 5-year plan. But yeah, personally, I'm about to pull up and we're going to do more dance competitions, Daitwan. I will still win.
She lost majority of those.
Oh.
See, I gotta for myself. I want to be a judge.
You can be a judge. His distorted reality, I don't understand it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I just want to continue to be the plug because I feel like I'm always connecting people to the right people, and it always turns out to be a positive thing. So I just want to continue to be the plug so that when my time is no longer here to be on this earth, I'm gonna have residual benefits of the things that I've done. So it's just, recreating, rebranding, finding out who I am. I graduated high school in 1990 something, right? So I'm still up here trying to figure out who I am. And that's just a testament to you can never stop learning and you can never stop evolving. So, I just want to keep being a plug and keep getting people together and just, living life, enjoying life, and loving on people. That's all.
I do too. I do too.
But thank you, ladies. This is beautiful, right? I am childless, but I love hearing from parents like where they are and being able to I think parents are going to be inspired by hearing your stories. So thank you guys for being so vulnerable and for sharing with us and for helping us to really understand what it looks like for a parent, and especially a parent who is involved in doing the work. Yeah, but
Can I just make one more comment? I thank you guys for what you do and how, you are so impactful. You already know, both of y'all already know, and I thank you. But if I were to leave one remark for guidance counselors and things of that nature, professionals, like the kids that are exceeding and thriving, don't forget about them.
Right.
Everyone pays attention to the kid that doesn't have a lot of support, but don't forget about the kids that have the support and that they're thriving. Because I feel like sometimes they fall within the cracks because people feel like they have it already.
Yeah.
They can never stop having enough support.
Ooh, I like that. Y'all hear that? College access professionals, counselors. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. They are telling you what it is, what it ain't. And yeah, it's up to us to really bridge this gap. We have a great opportunity to really support parents, support the students that they come with. So yeah, let's take that information and do something with it and make it happen. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Watching. Please make sure you tune into the next episode. We'll have some shortly for you. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram at OatSwamp, ATAWMP. Any last words, Daitwan?
No, I appreciate y'all. Continue to listen to Black women. They checked me and regulated me several times, so that's what it is.
All right, guys, you heard what he said. Have a great one. See you on the
You've earned a third master's with that, just that alone.
There we go.